Good evening, fastball fans, and welcome to the championship game of the 2018 ISC World Tournament here in Kitchener, Ontario at the Peter Holman Ball-Yard. This evening's game featuring the visiting Circle Tap Dukes taking on the New York Gremlins. It's the championship game, and you're watching it here on the ISC Network. I'm Steve Sabbert along with Blair Setford, and it's going to be one fine game as these two clubs meet for the second time in this tournament. And Blair, when you look at what the teams have to do tonight, pretty easy when you put it on paper, but you have to execute. And for Circle Tap, they don't want a repeat of Friday night.
No, Steve, they absolutely do not. They want to stay out of the big inning. They jumped out to an early lead against the New York Gremlins in that Friday night game in the winter bracket final. But the very next half inning, they handed it right back to the Gremlins, who scored a bunch. And for the New York Gremlins, they want to establish that dominance early and get out on top of the Dukes. Both teams, Steve, are going to want to ride their starters as long as possible.
Andrew Kirkpatrick starting for the New York Gremlins. Here's who he'll face on the Circle Tap Dukes. Leading off, the shortstop, Frederico Eder. Batting second, the left fielder, Zane Van Lieshout. Batting third, the right fielder, Manuel Godoy. Blair Ezekiel, the first baseman, batting fourth. Tyler Dudley is in his DP. If you remember back on Tuesday, Dudley injured his shoulder, his left shoulder, and he was out of the lineup since then. He's in the lineup tonight for the Dukes as DP. Daniel Dalton batting sixth, the second baseman. Matt Ratliff, the center fielder, batting seventh. Leo Lataja is the catcher. He'll be batting eighth, and then that'll be Tom Crouch, the ninth hitter, the third baseman tonight. Roman Godoy is the pitcher for Circle Tap. And, of course, Andrew Kirkpatrick pitching for the New York Gremlins, his fifth appearance this tournament, and you could say he's been lights out up until this point.
Oh, he's having an absolutely great tournament. I got to think that Andrew Kirkpatrick is a contender not only to be the top pitcher in the tournament, but the MVP as well. He's hitting over 450, and who else is in the conversation right now?
So they're having a meeting in the pitcher's circle with the Gremlins. Lou Davis, of course, the home plate umpire tonight. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, want to touch on the New York Gremlins defense, as Andrew Kirkpatrick will be backed up by Matthew Waugh, the left fielder, Ben Anoka in center, Brian Aubrey in right, Jerome Remeki at third, Jenner Christensen the shortstop, Ladislao Malarczuk at second, Eric Ochoa at first, and Nick Mullins will be doing the catching. Zenon Winters will be the DP this evening. And we're underway as Kirkpatrick delivers the first pitch of the game. And surprise, surprise, it's a strike. The big lefty delivers strike number two, and I think he's on a mission here, Blair. I think looking at it, he's really focused, hasn't had too many opportunities as he delivers the first ball of the at-bat.
And he's working very quickly, which is something that he likes to do, to not waste a lot of time out on the board. I think the defense likes it when Andrew works quickly as well.
1-2 pitch, and that just misses. 2-2 the count. Kirkpatrick, a long time veteran of this sport, as it's slapped towards shortstop, blocked by Christensen, and he had his second baseman behind him, and it's chopped for a base hit. So Circle Tap jumping on an opportunity right here, maybe a little over-aggressive by Christensen.
Yeah, I think he had a little bit more time than maybe he thought. Federico Eder runs well, but that was a pretty hard two-hopper, and I think Jenner Christensen would like that opportunity over an error on the first play of the game. And here's a mistake, and now if you are the Circle Tap Dukes, you want to take advantage.
All right, Zane Van Lieshout stepping up to the plate, the left fielder. He's been spread out through the lineup this week, sometimes in the top three, sometimes in the middle. But he does carry a big stick. "70 games in this tournament. This is game number 70 after it all started last weekend.
It's been a long week here at the Kitchener Peter Hallman Ball Yard, but at the same time it seems to fly by, particularly once you get past Tuesday. At least personally, the week has just gone past in a blur.
Nice pitch there by Kirkpatrick. Well, kudos to the organizers of the tournament, all the volunteers coming together to put on a great show. It's definitely been a fan experience for everybody. An attempted bunt by Van Lieshout didn't work too well.
Nick Mullins wanted to come up throwing on that play. Malheur-Zook, sometimes you get the guy who come in behind, and if there's daylight between your fielder and the runner, that throw automatically goes down, but Malheur-Zook not there.
Corners were coming in to play the bunt. Kirkpatrick now sitting with the 2-2 count on the batter.
Did a great shot there of the signs that Nick Mullen puts down, the pinky.
Trying to go upstairs. Now the count runs to 3-2.
1 is typically the rise ball, 2 the drop, 3 the change or a wiggle or something like that. You might work a curve ball in there as well. There's also location that you're going to get from the catcher.
And if he puts down 5 fingers, it's just strike this guy out. Get it over with. 3-2 pitch on its way. And he gets Van Lieshout swinging.
Steve, the blue team out there on the field. Lou Davis behind the plate. First base, John Hand. Third base, Brandon Bloom. Down the outfield lines, Mike Morrissey and Kevin Wallace. This will be Lou Davis's final ISC appearance as an umpire. He's here working home plate. And Lou Davis will be taking over as umpire-in-chief effective next season. So a couple of guys in the outfield, Mike Morrissey, Kevin Wallace, volunteering their time. They wanted to be on the field with Lou Davis in his final game. It means as much to the umpires as it does to the players to be here at the ISC World Tournament.
Congratulations, Lou, on a fantastic career. Feather in your cap right now in this championship game. Up to the plate, Manuel Godoy. What a week he's had. 11 for 18, batting .611, 3 home runs. And he chops one towards the first base side. Can Marlechuk get there? They get the out at second. Good cover by the shortstop, and there's 2 away.
Well, that was the only play that they were going to have because Malheur-Zook was not going to get to the bag in time, but Ochoa coming across the infield and Jenner Christensen in position to get the throw to get the lead runner.
Godoy seemed to get down the line okay. We saw him in the last game against the Kitchener-Hallman Twins late in the game tweak a right hamstring, and he was actually pulled for a pinch runner, and he seems to be okay now. Blair Ezekiel stepping up to the plate, and you have to be careful with him. What has he done lately? Well, just a 2-run bomb in the semifinal to vault the Circle Tap Dukes to this position. Game-winning 2-run shot to beat the Twins 2-1 earlier today. And Kirkpatrick just off the plate there for 2-0.
Blair Ezekiel, a longtime member of the New York Gremlins. They parted ways in the offseason, as they did with Roman Godoy. There's a lot of insider knowledge, but that goes both ways.
2-0 pitch. Slap to the third base side. Got to hurry, and they make a good throw as the New York Gremlins strand a runner at first base. And no score here after the top of the first. So the New York Gremlins will get their first chance at the sticks. Blair on deck to call that for you. This is the 2018 ISC World Tournament in Kitchener. You're watching it on the ISC Network.
To an ISC event? Then stop waiting. Check out our website or social media pages to see when the next event will be near you and come be a part of the experience.
Back here on the ISC Network as we get set for the bottom of the first inning. For the New York Gremlins, it'll be Matthew Waugh, Jerome Remeke, Ben Anoka, to be followed by the cleanup batter and the pitcher today for the New York Gremlins, as he has been all week, Andrew Kirkpatrick, Eric Ochoa, Ladislaw Malorzouk, Zenon Winters, Brian Avery, and the 9 spot, it is the catcher, Nick Mullins. For the Circle Tap Dukes on defense, left to right across your outfield, it's Zane Van Lieshout, Matt Ratliff, and Manuel Godoy over in right field. Around the horn, Tom Crouch, Federico Weeder, Daniel Dalton in at second base, Blair Ezekiel at first. Roman Godoy will look for his second win of the day, pitching to his countryman Leo Latassa. Matthew Waugh having a good week here at the ISC World Tournament. Steve batting well into the 300s. A home run, a couple RBIs at the very least, and he will look to add to his impressive totals here and try and get the New York Gremlins to their first ISC World Championship. They're back in the championship game for the first time since 2013. That one went 10 innings. Adam Falkard was perfect for the first 7 1/3 innings of that game. And the New York Gremlins ended up losing that one, coming up on the short end of a 1-0 game. Jamie Shields, who was here this week, the Alvinston Indians, sliding into home for the Hill United Chiefs that week and winning it on a sacrifice fly on a play at the plate.
4th place finish in 15-14 and 3rd place finishes in 16-17 as well for the Gremlins. So they've been close, Blair, just haven't been able to put it together.
Yeah, they've been the bridesmaid, so to speak, but never the bride. This is their best opportunity, I think, in a long time. This team was obviously purpose-built to beat the Hill United Chiefs. They don't need to do that here tonight. As Matthew Waugh, hard single right back up the middle past Federico Eder. And Matthew Waugh, big clap of the hands and aboard with a leadoff single.
One thing I noticed, Blair, couple of differences in Godoy's style. Back Tuesday night when he pitched, a lot of strikeouts, had 9 strikeouts on the night. When he pitched today against the Kitchener-Holman Twins, a lot of ground balls and some fly balls as well. So he didn't get the strikeouts, depending on his defense, to make some plays. And right there, Matthew Waugh not wasting any time, jumping on a pitch low in the strike zone and driving it up the middle.
For Roman Godoy, he's going to want to hit his spots, work in his changeup. Obviously, like any pitcher, you want to work ahead in the count. And he gets a strike there. And when he does get the opportunity to work ahead, he can be very dangerous because he's got that changeup. It's the great equalizer. As hard as Roman Godoy throws, and he's up there on the speed chart, he also has that world-class changeup.
And that's what he didn't really take advantage of in that earlier game, was the changeup. We didn't see it a whole lot. It was a lot of low balls to the outside part of the plate. If he came in high a couple of times inside, but other than that, of course, he made the one mistake to Ian Fairman when the ball didn't break and Fairman put it in the right field bleachers.
Hard to Hopper out to second. Dalton to second for one. Back to first. Safe at first base. Jerome Remeke runs very well. Got that knee fixed up over the last season and runs very well for a power hitter. So Matthew Waugh erased for 6. And aboard on the fielder's choice is Remeke. That will bring up Ben Anoka. Having a quiet week by Ben Anoka's standards. Perennially, he is on the all-world team.
Just noticed Blair Martin Gonzalez throwing down in the circle tap bullpen. You know, that's 2 hard hit balls on Godoy right off the top. So you have to wonder how the coaches are going to play out. He pitched very, very hard earlier this afternoon, his second game of the day, and a very good hitting New York Gremlins club right now.
Well, we talked off the top, both teams would like to ride their starters as long as possible. For the Gremlins, they will want to get into the Dukes bullpen as soon as they can. High hopper on the infield again. That's an easy double play, except it's thrown away by the shortstop. Federico Eder airmails first base. That was a tailor-made double play ball. All he had to do was take one step to his left. He got the force, but Ben Anoka aboard on the error. Second one of the game, perhaps a little bit of nerves.
Well, and he had plenty of time to get Anoka. The ball was hit so hard that it created the double play opportunity. Anoka wasn't even a 2/3 of the way to the base when that throw was made.
So that brings up Andrew Kirkpatrick. A big opportunity here to help himself. Ben Anoka runs extremely well. I don't think there's anybody in the game who goes first to third faster than Ben Anoka.
Well, the one issue not completing that double play either, Blair, is number one, you bring Kirkpatrick to the plate. Number two, you have a man on. So instead of being out of the inning, going double to the top of the second, you're still in a situation.
So Godoy was working quickly, now slowing the pace a little bit, taking a step off. And that pitch just misses off the outside of the plate. We had Pete Landers up here earlier in the day, and he talked about how almost all of the pitches in a certain sequence during the game were outside drop, outside drop, outside drop. And there's that changeup from Godoy, completely fooled Kirkpatrick. He was way out in front on the front foot.
Interesting with Kirkpatrick, always.
Anoka bluffs off the bag.
Always deciding whether or not do you bat your pitcher, and a lot of coaches don't want their pitchers hitting, but how do you deny a guy with the hot stick like Kirkpatrick, and he's been at the plate all week.
Ball 4 outside, and there's the result of the error. You've worked yourself into a jam now with a pair of runners aboard and the very dangerous Eric Ochoa coming to. Anything from this point would be unearned. Nonetheless, they still count on the scoreboard. Kirkpatrick been in the lineup all summer for the Gremlins. He has had an absolutely torrid season here in North America. The decision was made that they were going to let Kirkpatrick bat as well as he was going to be the guy on the mound. And it's paid off for the Gremlins in spades here all summer long. Winners of several tournaments. Still chasing the big one here in the ISC, but they've got a great look at it right now.
Ochoa only batting .250 on the week. He does have a couple of doubles and an RBI, a couple RBIs along with a home run. Thing about it, Blair, too, is it's not always about the average. It's about can you find timely hitting. And someone who's hitting .300 may not be the best overall average, but he may have some key hits through the week to give your team a lead or a win.
This one misses downstairs. I will take a clutch guy who can come up with a big RBI as opposed to the guy with the .400 batting average, but 6 of those hits came when you were leading 12-0. This one's downstairs.
Working more with the changeup here early on, Blair. I think he's thrown more changeups this inning than he did all last game.
And you wonder whether the Twins maybe were sitting on that pitch. If somebody hits the changeup early, sometimes a pitcher will lose confidence in it and won't go back to it during the game. But if you can show that you can throw it effectively and in any count, as Todd Martin will tell you. But here is another walk, and all of this as a result of that overthrow at first base. Now the bases are loaded for Ladislav Malorczuk.
And there'll be a visit from the bench to try to settle everybody down here.
Well, I think this is a great idea here by the skipper, Scott Standifer, who's got as much World Tournament experience as anybody. Used to manage the county materials team back with Andrew Kirkpatrick when he last won the top pitcher award in 2006. And you have to wonder, did Godoy get a little rattled there by being let down by his defense?
So Malorczuk just batting .214, but 5 RBIs in the tournament, and he's got 3 runners on base. Lataja, I think he's put more miles to the pitcher circle this week than a lot of guys did.
Well, the international game, the Argentines were infamous for their slow pace of play. Juan Podolicio in particular, it's improved a lot in the last few years.
And Godoy having a little bit of trouble here.
But he suddenly lost the range. I thought he looked really good. Even though they were 2 hard-hit balls, they were spots that they hit good pitches. But suddenly not able to find the range. And Malorczuk is going to go around on that one. I think as a batter here in this situation, Steve, you've got to show patience. You know that that pitcher out there is struggling to find the range. Let him throw a strike. Let it show you that he can throw a strike. This one is lifted out to left field. Ranging across is Van Lieshout and making the catch to end the inning and the threat. The Dukes wriggle out of that run. We are scoreless through 1 complete. We'll head to the top of the second. Stay with us here on the ISC Network.
Whatever your delivery requirements are across North America, Skelton Truck Lines provides you with reliable, safe, and high-quality service at a fair price. Skelton Truck Lines equipment is satellite tracked and delivers small parcel, less than truckload, and expedited shipments throughout Canada and the U.S. With over 50 years of experience and more than 50 trucks serving 4 divisions, Skelton Truck Lines is a thriving Ontario business and a proud fastball sponsor. Visit us online at skeltontruck.com. Thanks to Mike Skelton for supporting the broadcast program.
Top of the second inning we go, and it will be Tyler Dudley, Daniel Dalton, Matt Ratliff to bat for Circle Tap. Tyler Dudley injured his shoulder earlier in the week back on Tuesday. 5 for 13 on the week, Thursday, pardon me. 5 for 13 on the week, 4 RBIs, and they're going to slide him into the DP spot. And you've got really nothing to lose, Blair, at this point. If he doesn't work out, you just substitute him, but you'd hate to go the other way and not being able to use him at all.
Yeah, you have to find out what Tyler Dudley can do. He's an important stick in their lineup, and if he can swing the bat, even if he can't throw, he can still be a contributor. He looked okay on that swing. What happened, I guess, Steve, that night was he arced out of the way of an inside pitch. He went down, separated the shoulder. He's been having trouble with it apparently all season long. It popped out, had to go back and get it reset. And for anybody who's ever separated a shoulder, it is very painful.
So it was his left shoulder that was affected, so it's his bottom hand swinging through that could be an issue or not, but so far it looks pretty good. Saw him at the park earlier today, Blair, and he had a big brace on the shoulder to keep it all nice and together before the game. Kirkpatrick into his second inning of work here for the New York Gremlins and has a 1-2 count on Dudley. Count now sits at 2-2. On deck, Daniel Dalton, the second baseman. Back in the first inning, Kirkpatrick had a couple balls chopped on the infield on him. They were able to get out of it. And Dudley trying to keep pace right now, a little behind there, 3-2.
For Circle Tap, they ended up with the best of both worlds in the sense here, Steve, because they got Tyler Dudley back in the lineup. Daniel Dalton, who wasn't in the lineup early in the week, got in due to the Dudley injury and some other changes, and Dalton's having a week here too.
Swing and a miss, and Dudley will go down on strikeouts. And that's going to bring Dalton up to the plate.
You see the flags on the back of the uniform of the Circle Tap Dukes. They are for each player's individual country. So for Daniel Dalton, it's a Canadian flag. For Tyler Dudley and for Matt Ratliff, an American flag. Leo Latassa, Manuel Godoy, and others, an Argentine flag. Van Lieshout has the Southern Cross for New Zealand.
Well, these Circle Tap hitters certainly aren't wasting any time in trying to attack pitches here.
Well, Dalton is a notorious first pitch swinger. He will go after it if it's near the zone at all. Danny comes in batting .444 in limited at-bats in the tournament, but he's made the most of them.
Fouls a good pitch away, sits at 1-2.
And when he gets on, he can create some havoc in the base paths as well. Lots of good wheels there from Danny Dalton out of the Newfoundland fastball factory. Plays in the St. John's League with a lot of the other boys back at home.
Would that include Mr. Cleary?
That would include Sean Cleary, Blair Ezekiel, Kyle Ezekiel, Bradley Ezekiel, the Bolins.
Strike three there. Dalton is caught looking as he's rung up by Lou Davis. Matt Ratliff now will swing the bat, the center fielder. He's been mixed up through the lineup this week as well, sometimes batting second, sometimes a little lower. Really good speed. In fact, he was involved in a play in the semifinals earlier today against the Kitchener-Holman Twins, was motoring down the first baseline, close play at first, and he was called out. They argued the call, and then later that inning, Blair Ezekiel slammed the two-run shot. So maybe a little bit of adrenaline started pumping for the Circle Tap Dukes at that point because they were down 1-0 when Ratliff was called out at first base on the close play.
That seemed to turn things around for them, though, because they certainly rallied around it.
Sitting 0-2, now striking out. And Andrew Kirkpatrick makes quick work of the Circle Tap lineup this time around with 3 strikeouts in the inning. And the New York Gremlins will go to their half of the second as we watch Kirkpatrick just fire it by Ratliff as the ball drops off the table. This is the 2018 ISC World Tournament here in Kitchener, Ontario, and you're watching it on the ISC Network.
Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM, operating from the 6 nations of the Grand River Territory, is dedicated to the promotion of Indigenous culture, positive initiatives, language, and music to our youth. We offer a unique blend of top 40, hip-hop, R&B programming, and Indigenous music. You can count on Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM to help your voice be heard. Our interactive call-in shows feature locally produced news, sports, health, current affairs, and social issues. Unique programming with an Indigenous perspective. Listen live at jukasaradio.ca or download the Jukasa Radio app free from your app store.
Zenon Winters to lead things off for the New York Gremlins here, the home half of the second inning. Zenon will be followed by Brian Avery and Nick Mullins, 7, 8, 9 in the Gremlins order.
Winters, one of the top hitters on the Gremlins this week, 5 for 11. He has 7 RBIs as well, but he's playing the leadoff hitter for this inning.
Well, Zenon Winters has been there, done that, and got the T-shirt for all of it in fast pitch softball, fastball, all over the world. Relocated his family up to Indonesia, where he is now heading up their men's program, or their entire softball program in the country of Indonesia. And if he is as successful in that program as he's been in his personal career, look for them to get stronger in the coming years. Activity again in the Dukes bullpen area, and I'm thinking that's going to be the pattern, Steve, is that when the Dukes are on defense, Gonzalez will be up throwing so that he's ready to go at a moment's notice. Tells me that they've got a very short leash here on Roman Godoy. Went around. Zenon Winters tried to pull that back, but he was well past the point of the plate.
There is no double knockout. It's one win take all. So if you're Circle Tap, you're going to do everything you can to win this game. And if that means getting Godoy out of the game when there's big trouble, sooner rather than later, that's going to be the case.
Well, we saw it earlier with the Twins in the game preceding this one. Scott Life went 5 strong, and there was a situation in the 6th with Blair Ezekiel, the best hitter on the Circle Tap team, at the plate, and Sean Cleary was left in the bullpen.
After a steady diet of change-ups going to the rise ball, was then in fouling that one off. How does Gonzalez compare to Godoy?
He doesn't throw as hard, and he certainly doesn't have as much experience as Roman Godoy, but he's had a very good summer, and he will just give the Gremlins a slightly different look as this one catches a big piece of Leo Latasa. It was inside. He jammed Zenon Winters, and I'm not sure whether it was a foul tip or just an unexpected pitch, but Latasa got a big bite out of that one as Scott Standifer will come over to check on his catcher. Latasa has an exceptional arm behind the plate, but if he's in a situation where he can't grip the ball properly, that will hinder his ability to throw.
That may have got him in the mask. See if we can get a replay on that. But, yeah, he's still trying to walk it off. Saw that throw out down to second base to gun out and attempted. I believe it was Brandon Horn he threw out, and he's talking with Lou Davis now.
Well, Lou Davis knows what it's like to get one in the head here this week, if that's indeed where it was. Lou was the recipient of an Adam Folkard pitch earlier in the week that sailed by everybody but caught him flush on the top of the head, and it left a nasty cut. He got treatment for that, had to come out of the game. But it recovered and obviously is back here behind the dish, and we are glad to have Lou back with us. And again, Lou's final game here in ISC play, not retiring as an umpire and as an active umpire, but here in the ISC, this will be likely his final game. Swing and a miss. Down goes Winters. Good change up there from Roman Godoy. Change speeds, kept the ball away. No opportunity for Zenon Winters to do anything with that pitch. That's a beauty.
But it was a long at-bat, forcing Godoy to throw a lot of pitches.
Well, I'm sure that was part of the Gremlins' game plan coming in here. They know that Godoy had a very intense game with the Twins earlier this afternoon. That will have taken a lot out of him. There's no doubt about that. But these guys are used to throwing more than one game in a day. They do it all summer long, and they're building towards this particular game all season long. This is what it's all about. So you can bet that Roman Godoy is going to go as long and as hard as he can. Looked like he had some pretty good zip on that one, but it's well up and out of the zone. Brian Avery at the dish. Started the week catching, and they've changed up the defensive rotation a little bit. Moved Nick Mullins behind the plate, moved Avery out to right field. He made a great grab against the Cubs the other night, as this one is will hit deep right field, back to the fence, through it, and gone. Brian Avery, a solo home run with one down here in the bottom of the second inning, gets the New York Gremlins on the board, empties the bench as they come out for high fives, and a long shot to deep right field. The breakaway fence, you can go through it if you can catch it, but to no avail there as Manuel Godoy unable to track that one down.
Well, that ball was way over the fence, no chance to be caught. Godoy, I don't know if he...
Godoy or Ratliff, maybe it was Ratliff.
Well, it was
that
Godoy.
went through.
Godoy went through the fence, and whether or not he heard his fielder saying, watch fence, watch the fence, but Godoy didn't even look down. He went right through it like a tape at the finish line.
Well, the other thing is there's a bunch of people who don't understand with a breakaway fence. When you put the chairs up next to it, you've got to get out of the way, and they're actually a bit of a hazard. As you see the replay here, center cut. Brian Avery gets absolutely all of it. He knows it's gone from the crack of the bat.
And so did Godoy, palms up in the air. That pitch hung. A little bit of a delay here as Mike Morrissey was going to check that area where Manuel Godoy went through the fence, made sure everything was reset properly.
So Nick Mullins will step in, the 9-batter in the Gremlins order, as they turn the batting over already here in just the second inning. Steve, we talked early about staying out of big innings if you are the Dukes. Ramon Godoy's job right now as the Gremlins dugout gets very, very loud. Ramon Godoy's job right now is to keep a lid on this inning. There's a called strike on Mullins. 1 ball, 1 strike. You almost sense, Steve, that this is a boiling pot right now. You've got to put the lid on it and turn the temperature down.
Well, key out here because after Mullins, they go back to the top of the order for the Gremlins. So second time through against Godoy. And Mullins, if you put him on base, now you only have 1 out with some big boppers coming up.
2 balls, 1 strike. Ramon Godoy falling behind when he's been successful. He pitches from in front. This one chop foul. But again, of course, you can say that about any pitcher here this week. You're not going to have success pitching from behind. Doesn't matter whether you're in the ISC championship game, in a first-round ISC 2 bracket game, the ISC Legends, the ISC U23. It just won't work. Ground ball, 1 hopper into the glove of Godoy. He will make the underhand toss to first to record the second out of the inning.
And that's a big out for Godoy and Circle Tap. Now with 2 away, and they go back to the top of the order to face Mathieu Waugh.
Good pitch right off the end of the bat. You see it on the replay. Mullins knows he's out, the underhand toss. And Ramon Godoy, the body language there tells me he's not happy with his location right now. Just turning and casually making that underhand toss. Not very crisp. We'll see what happens here with Matty Waugh. Matty Waugh hit, I think, the second or third pitch of the game right back up the box. And here comes Scott Standifer. Maybe he's seeing the same thing with Ramon Godoy with the body language.
Are we going to go
to
they
Gonzalez?
Called
out Lou Davis very quickly, and I'm not sure what this conversation is about. It may be about the pivot foot, which is the foot on the board. Under the ISC rule, he's got to keep that foot still. You can't lift it up. You're not supposed to be lifting it up. I don't know if one of the umpires said something, but this seems to be a conversation more between Latassa and Standifer than Lou Davis. Maybe it's an injury.
I was going to say, just looking at the body language and Latasha's expression and Godoy, just the way he's moving.
If that was an injury check, you do have to check with the umpires as you're going out, or before you go out. Does I want to check on my pitcher or my player to see if he's injured, and the umpire can grant you that access and not charge you for a defensive conference. You see Latassa there yelling at Godoy to change up the signals or to do something different there. That was a pretty animated discussion as well. That misses just off the outside corner. Let's keep an eye on Ramon Godoy here. We'll see if anything looks different about his motion. Nothing seemed to miss there because he zinged that one in a pretty good pace. But he looks definitely like he is laboring, doesn't he? Something is not right there with Ramon Godoy. That close-up shot, a great one from our first base cameraman, can tell the story.
And if you're Circle Tap, you got 2 out in this inning. Try to get through this inning at least. Get him to the dugout, reevaluate, and see where you go from here.
Well, your hopes were riding on Ramon Godoy. You had a lot of chips right there on Ramon Godoy pitching against his former team and helping to motivate him.
He's just not hitting his spots, Blair. His rise ball is not even close.
And as a batter, when you can eliminate one of the pitches that you don't have to worry about, now you can really zone in on a drop ball, whether it's a drop ball in, a drop ball out. And when you get that pitch in that location, it becomes very hittable. Change up on a line, but right at Daniel Dalton for the 3rd out of the inning. But Steve, you pointed it out earlier. They've been hitting the balls hard. They got 1 run in the form of the home run from Brian Avery. So the Gremlins break out in front here in the 2018 ISC Championship game. Stay with us here on the ISC Network. A legendary pitcher. Unbreakable records.
That's got a mile. Goes a mile high to the wall, to the track. Saved by baseball.
And that ball is lifted up and going back to left field. What a great grab. Off speed is deep, and you can get out of this ballpark.
5 Hall of Famers. 3 World Championships.
And that ball is driven out deep.
Hit from Parker is driven deep. Shane Boland to the fence. It's gone. Shane Boland has hit the game-winning home run.
The Toronto Gators, gone but not forgotten.
To the top of the 3rd inning we go. Leo Latasha, the leadoff batter for Circle Taps. He'll be followed by Tom Crouch and Federico Eder, the top of the lineup for the Dukes. Down 1-0 here after a home run by Brian Avery in the bottom of the 2nd. Andrew Kirkpatrick working well again. And we talked about Ramon Godoy and laboring a little bit in his half of the inning. Kirkpatrick seems to have everything nice and fluid, Blair.
Well, he really looks good right now, and fluid is the perfect word for Kirkpatrick. His motion looks effortless out there on the board, and I really like the way he's throwing. Steve, you noticed that Ramon Godoy seemed to be favoring the right leg going off the diamond?
He was, as he was walking to the bench as Latasha swings through for a strikeout. And that's the 5th strikeout of the night for Kirkpatrick.
4 in a row for Kirkpatrick over the last inning and 3rd.
So Tom Crouch now the batter. Usually pitchers will take a slow walk back to the dugout, not exert too much energy after some hard work, but he seemed to be favoring that right leg, his push-off leg on the way back. So we're going to see if he comes back for the 3rd. Nice scoop up, throw to first, and the 2nd out of the inning has been recorded as Crouch is thrown out, and that'll bring up Federico Eder. And right now, Blair, the tempo of the game playing into the hands of the Gremlins. Quick on the defensive side and really pushing the offense along well. So,
and Andrew Kirkpatrick right now has only thrown 4 pitches to record 2 outs, as Tom Crouch went after the first one. It was a much better defensive play there, too, by Jenner Christensen. Surrounded the ball, got in front of it rather than to play it off to the side, and was able to make the good strong throw over to first.
2 base runners have reached here for Circle Tap, but both on a fielder's choice. So technically no hits for Circle Tap up to this point. Eder also reaching on an error back in the 1st inning. Takes a strike there to make it 1-2.
Well, Eder, at the very least, has seen a couple of pitches here from Kirkpatrick Ramon Godoy needs a bit of a break there in the dugout, and the last thing he wanted was to have to get right back out on the field.
Kirkpatrick one strike away from getting the circle tap defense. It's almost like a football game, Blair, where you want to keep the other team's one side out as long as possible. Great pitch by Kirkpatrick. Gone is Eder, and that lasted, a whole 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, as the New York Gremlins will go back to the sticks, and they have the 2, 3, 4 hitters on deck to hit as Kirkpatrick continues to flow here in the championship game of the ISC World Tournament. Drops it right in there. Eder, no reaction to it at all. Blair on deck to call the next. You're watching the 2018 ISC World Tournament on the ISC Network.
Swung on and missed. Strike 3, and the Kitchener River Shark Twins repeat. Back to back, yes! It's the local kid who wins it.
Swing and a miss. Jarvis, 3-peats.
Adam Falker, absolutely.
Here comes the throw to the plate. Are the world champions.
2015 ISC Men's World Champions.
Shane Bowen has hit the game-winning home run, and the Toronto Gators are world champions.
Fittingly, it's Adam on to first, and the 89 Chiefs back to the top of the mountain.
ISC Canada East, home of champions. Well, it will be a U.S.-based team that will take the ISC World Championship. The first time in 10 years that we've had an All-American final. The last one was 2007 here in Kitchener, the Farm Tavern versus the SoCal Bombers that year. And it was the Farm Tavern winning the last of their ISC championships. Will it be the Gremlins? Will it be the Dukes? Jerome Remeke fouls this one straight back over our head. Lance Wynn was here. He'd have pushed you out of the way to try to go after that one, Steve.
I'm hard to push. I'm like a tree. No.
And just off the outside corner.
Roman Godoy out for his third inning of work. Seemed to labor in the bottom half of the second. We'll see how he reacts here. And he is definitely not 100%.
No, he skipped that one in there to Leo Latassa. And it's almost right now, Steve, it looks to me like he's kind of pitching around guys rather than attacking the strike zone and going after them. Came inside there. So you see the leg there and the stress that is put on that right leg in the pitching motion. It is difficult on the knees and the legs, and you see the flex right there again. And I'm thinking ankle just from the way that he's
trying to
flexing
stretch out
that and trying to stretch it out. There's the shake. So I'm going to guess ankle. You take a beating, a physical beating here over the course of a week. So some fun and games. You see the smile right there on the face of Roman Godoy as Remeke had stepped out. And it's the games within the games, Steve. And if you can get a mental edge, all the more to you.
Well, once you break someone's timing, that's key. Throw them off, right? Whether you're pitcher, batter. It's all about timing. And it
right
pays
back
off.
up the middle again here as Remeke coming around the corner, take a big long look, and then we'll retreat back to first base. But just out of the grasp of Daniel Dalton. So Remeke aboard with a leadoff single here in the top of the third. You'll see this one come right into your living room as it goes back up the middle. Can't wait for the days of 3D when that ball will hop onto your coffee table and back onto your couch. You'll be able to field it. Ben Anoka will come to the plate. Anoka, a fielder's choice.
The first three hitters of the Gremlins lineup making contact against Godoy back in the first inning. Anoka, one of them.
It was a called strike, so 0-2 rather. 1 run on the 3 hits for the New York Gremlins thus far. And here's a little poke up the middle. Flip to 2 for 1, and again it sails. Federico Eder right now can't find the range to first base from second. And Ben Anoka again reaches on a fielder's choice E6.
Well, double play can't be assumed. So they get the out at second. So that should be a fielder's choice.
But it's E6 on the throw, right?
But you can't assume a double play.
Fair enough. Fielder's choice.
And we have to give Eder a little bit of a break. He's had a rough night so far.
He's done it twice.
Well, the thing about it, though, is they haven't even been close.
Yeah.
I mean, the first baseman can't even make a play for it in the air. It's that off. And that's uncharacteristic. We've seen Eder all week, and he's been spectacular at shortstop.
He's done very well, so you have to wonder if something's up there with Federico Eder. There's a called strike, but it brings up Andrew Kirkpatrick again with runners in scoring position. Reached on a walk back in the first, advanced as far as second as the bases were loaded. Godoy managed to get out of that particular jam. Godoy's going to take a bit of a walk. I think he wanted that pitch from home plate umpire Lou Davis, perhaps a bit low.
Well, when you're battling every pitch you want because you want to get out of the inning as quick as possible.
It becomes very difficult when you're battling, as you said. Pours this one in for a strike. But right now, it's so fine, you don't have the opportunity to make a mistake. You can't afford to give in on a single pitch here right now. And there's that great changeup, and down on strikes goes Andrew Kirkpatrick. I'd love to see Ramon Godoy throw that still a little bit more often, one to every batter even.
That's a big out for Godoy here in this inning, taking down the top hitter of the New York Gremlins with a runner on, now 2 away.
Brings up Eric Ochoa. Ochoa also walked back in the first.
Well, the other guy earning his paycheck in this situation is the catcher, Leo Latasha. Not only has he to call the game, but now he's got to mentally keep his pitcher into it as well. Encouragement, making sure he's doing the little things right. And right now, Latasha is the field general trying to keep everything together.
Well, he's trying to manage Ramon Godoy through this inning, as you said. You got to keep an eye on Ben Anoka. At first, there he goes. As a matter of fact, there's the strong throw, but it's high. Tag on Anoka, but he had something on the base. Almost slid right past it. Brandon Bloom, the umpire, having a chuckle there with Federico Eder as he was going to keep the ball in the glove and wait for Benny to step off the bag. Nobody's falling for that one around here.
That was a pretty good throw by Latasha, but
it was up. He got it there in plenty of time, but the throw was at Eder's shoulders, and by the time he was bringing the ball down, you'll see it right here.
And that's tough for a catcher because he had to go down to get the pitch, catch it in the dirt, and then come up and fire, and that is so difficult, especially when you have speed on the base pass.
To Eder, here's a good throw to first, and that gets them out of the inning. So the error does not come back to hurt them. And the Dukes will come to the plate in the top of the fourth, trailing 1-0. Stay with us here on the ISC Network.
When you're in St. John's, Newfoundland, you're at home. And you're never more at home than when you're at Kelly's Pub, right on famous George Street. Traditional live music and some of the best fish and chips in the city are what you'll get at Kelly's. One of the top fastball sponsors in the country is right here in St. John's. Kelly's Pub, live music, great food, and friendly service. Right around the corner is Three Cheers Pub, home of the 3-time Canadian national champions. Three Cheers is downtown St. John's friendly pub. Affordable drinks and great staff with buckets all day, every day. Three Cheers Pub is a proud fastball sponsor. Kelly's Pub and Three Cheers Pub, come and make yourself at home.
We go to the top of the fourth inning. Zane Van Lieshout, Manuel Godoy, and Blair Ezekiel are due up for Circle Tap to face Andrew Kirkpatrick, who has been rolling through so far. In fact, 5 out of the last 6 outs have been strikeouts, 7 altogether for the tall lefty for the Gremlins. And he starts this at-bat out with a ball. I'm Steve Sabbert along with Blair Setford. Glad you can join us on the ISC Network for this championship game at the 2018 ISC World Tournament. It's been a banner day for ball, Blair. The weather has been fantastic, warm enough. A little bit of cloud here early this evening. The lights are on over the ballpark. Field conditions have been excellent throughout the week.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the grounds crew here at the Peter Hallman Ball Yard who did a great job during the rain that we got Thursday afternoon to get the field playable very quickly. It rained very hard here overnight. The field was looking good this morning. They were here early. As down on strikes goes Van Lieshout.
So that's strikeout number 8 on the night for Kirkpatrick. And it'll bring out Manuel Godoy.
6 of the last 7 are strikeouts as well. So Kirkpatrick on a roll here. And for the Circle Tap Dukes, you got to do something quickly to get the big man out of his rhythm. You need a base hit here. You need to play some small ball. You need to do something to break this strikeout string.
Thing about it is the Gremlins are only leading 1-0, and we saw it earlier today. A pitcher cruising along through 5 innings with a 1-0 lead, and then all of a sudden, bang, 2-run shot switches it around as Godoy fouls it off. So if you're the Gremlins, great that your pitcher's doing well here, but you need to get some offense within the next inning or two to try to increase that lead.
Well, here's a guy who can change the score in a hurry. Manuel Godoy, 3 home runs this week, a lot of RBIs.
And there's one shot to center field, giving chase, and that's going to land in between the left fielder, center fielder to second base. Godoy slides in, and he'll have the double with 1 away here and now in scoring position. So that landed between Waugh and Anoka, and a nice slide in there by Godoy, calling for time right away to get cleaned up. And maybe discussions about the ball here?
Yeah, I think they gave Kirkpatrick one that he didn't like. Nonetheless, it's going to be the one that he's going to be asked to play with. Yeah, you split the gap when Benny Anoka and Matthew Waugh can't run it down.
Well, it looked like that ball was going to hang, but then it took a quick nosedive. And you can see Anoka as they meet in the pitcher circle to discuss things. But Anoka, to me, looked like he was going to dive to try to get that ball, but at the last moment decided to pull up, because if it skips by him, then it's going to be a triple at least for Godoy.
And we saw that earlier this afternoon in the 4th place elimination game. An ill-advised dive by the Hill United outfielder cost them 2 runs as the ball got past him close to the fence, and 2 runs from first to second scored easily on the play.
So here's Blair Ezekiel, grounded out to the third baseman back in the first, so 0 for 1 on the night.
Blair Ezekiel, of course, with the big 2-run home run, the bottom of the 6th inning. You talked about it, Steve. One swing of the bat can change a game. Blair Ezekiel propelling the Circle Tap Dukes into this game, and you can bet that there is a lot of personal motivation here for Blair Ezekiel in this one.
And the back of the batter's box is being redrawn here for the players.
Again, the games within the games, the players, the second they get out there, they erase the back of the line. They want to be as far back as possible to read the pitch for as long as possible.
Ezekiel holds up there, and the Gremlins didn't like the call. The home plate umpire appealed it down to second base. What are you going to do?
Well, that is John Hand, who is one of the top officials in the game. In fact, for my money, you have got 3 of the 3 best officials in the game out there right now. And that's no slight on anybody else that's here. There are all great umpires here. The umpiring this week has been unbelievably good. I wanted to come up with a better word, but I couldn't come up with one, I'll be honest with you. But it has been spectacular here this week. Lou, John Hand, Brandon Bloom in particular have done a number of the games in the club that I was managing, and they are spot on with every call.
2-1 count on Ezekiel, and Kirkpatrick misses on that delivery and make it 3-1. So here a little bit of a jam in the top of the 4th inning for the Gremlins with a runner on second base and just 1 out. Hitters count for Ezekiel here, and he fouls it away.
Well, second time through the order now for the Circle Tap Dukes. All the jitters should be out of the way. Now this is a game. It's the ISC championship game, but it's just a game now that the batters and the players are into. And Blair Ezekiel, teammates with Andrew Kirkpatrick for a number of years. There's no secrets here.
And that pitch misses and a walk for Ezekiel. So that'll bring up Tyler Dudley, the DP, strikeout victim back in the second inning. And Blair, you can go way back to the first when the Gremlins left the bases loaded. And they had an opportunity to get on the board early. They couldn't. They scored 1 in the second. But, you know, if you're Circle Tap, you've survived the bases loaded. You've worked your way through here to the top of the 4th, and now you're threatening opportunity to tie things up.
Well, we talked for the Gremlins right off the top. You wanted to establish that dominance. That was an opportunity squandered, absolutely, without a doubt. And here's one for the Dukes. You have to take advantage of these when they come around.
Dudley fouls it off. Again, coming into tonight as one of the top hitters for Circle Tap, despite missing some games due to injury.
The top of the order has set the table now for the 5 and 6 batters, but this is where that strikeout string began for Andrew Kirkpatrick in the second inning, with Dudley, Dalton, and Ratliff all going down on strikes.
Corners playing even with the bags. No chance of a bunt here. You need a base hit. Dudley swinging a miss, and he's out. The runners will hold. And now there's 2 away with Daniel Dalton coming to the dish. He struck out looking back in the second.
No panic here in the game for Andrew Kirkpatrick. He looks fully in control right now.
Well, and that's what separates the good from the better, is being able to take what happened before, put it in your past, and just go to work on your next batter. And he's done that. After giving up a double and a walk, he struck out Dudley to get the second out of the inning.
Well, he's executing his pitches very well right now. He is living on those outside corners, whether it's the left side of the plate or the right. He's able to reach both sides.
Inside pitch there, chopped away. And sometimes, Blair, those corners, if you nibble long enough, starting to widen a little bit. Just stretch it out throughout the game.
Well, that's where you have to rely on your umpire to be consistent throughout. Lou Davis, one of the best.
1-2 pitch from Kirkpatrick, and look out as our camera got a 3D version of the ball sailing the way down the first baseline.
So I'm told that he was under instructions in a position like that to save himself and not worry about the camera, but then the big boss said, no, get yourself in front of the camera and protect it. So depends whether your perspective was the CEO or the head of HR.
1-2 count on Dudley now as Dalton up to the plate now. Daniel Dalton, the second baseman. Another 1-2 pitch and another foul off.
That came off of the pad of Nick Mullins, and I'm not sure if Andrew Kirkpatrick thought that was a swing and off the bat of Dalton, but he went after that ball in a hurry.
Better do that than just sit there and...
Better be safe than sorry.
Exactly. 1-2 again, and another foul off. So good showing here by Dalton, staying alive and making Kirkpatrick work. This by far the longest at-bat of the night for the tall lefty.
And it's given Roman Godoy a break in the Dukes dugout as well. This is the longest inning, I think, that the Dukes have had.
Slap to the shortstops, and a diving shortstop can't make the play. Run will score, and Godoy, his leadoff double, comes back to tie things up on a solid single by Dalton as he ripped it by Christensen. Diving attempt towards the second base bag, but to no avail, and we are tied up at 1.
A good response here by the Circle Tap Dukes, getting back even in this game early enough in the game that it doesn't feel like you're chasing it all the way through.
Matt Ratliff, the batter, struck out back in the second inning. Good job by Dalton to stay down on that pitch and drive it hard. And now Ratliff will try to extend the inning. Runners at first and second still. He chops it off the plate. Second baseman, nice throw. And no, not in time. The shortstop is arguing for interference as he was going for the ball and is arguing that contact was made as he was trying to play it because he was cutting across in front of the second base bag.
Well, there's a couple of replays here that I'd like to see. One is indeed the play on the field there where the ball came across, but then also at first base. That was very close at first. Bang, bang. Ratliff getting the benefit of the doubt there. But they are going to ask about runner interference on the part of Blair Ezekiel, and he's pleading his case with open arms, saying, I didn't touch him.
Well, the bases are still full of Dukes, and it looks like
they've asked and they've been answered, nope, we don't have an interference call on the play. So we've got, as you said, bases full of Dukes.
A chopper up the middle. It was a great play by Malarchuk to get there. The throw was on the bag, and I think they're going to give a hit to Ratliff on that one.
Well, I think you have to give a hit. They made a play on it, and he beat it out. He was called safe. I don't know that there was any error involved on the play.
No, the first baseman wasn't pulled off the bag, so we've got Leo Lataja up to the plate and bases loaded for Circle Tap. And how big of an emotional lift would this be, Blair, for the Dukes if they can score a couple here on a hard hit single?
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny how quickly momentum has shifted in this game. I literally just said about 4 minutes ago that Andrew Kirkpatrick seemed to be in control. He was executing on his pitches, but a couple of choppers here on the infield, and all of a sudden we've got the bases loaded. It's a tie game, and the Dukes with the opportunity here to take the lead.
So Lataja was a strikeout victim back in the third inning. Storylines in these situations, Blair, always amazing for the Gremlins trying to win their first championship. Circle Tap has been really nowhere close to this level in the last decade or so.
Well, the closest they got was a tie for third, and we'll pick that story up when we get out of this situation here. I am really anxious to see how this inning turns out. But, yeah, they've got a tie for third at one point and a fourth-place finish during bracket play.
1-1 pitch on the way to Lataja, and he takes that for a strike on the inside part of the plate, now 1-2. So both teams with a run and 3 hits. And Kirkpatrick gets out of the inning, striking out Lataza for the second time of the night, but not before the Dukes tie it up. Leadoff double, or a double by Godoy, gets in on a hard RBI single by Ratliff. And that's where we stand, headed to the bottom of the 4th with Blair Setford on deck to call it for you. This is the 2018 ISC World Tournament, and you're watching it on the ISC Network.
Daniel Dalton there with the RBI single. Here's the play with Ratliff at the dish. The chopper. Boy, that is a bang-bang play at first to me. That's a tie. Goes to the runner. Great camera work there by our Sports Canada TV production crew. Stay with us here on the ISC Network. We'll be back for the bottom of the 4th coming up.
The annual Boys of Summer tournament is held every July at Circle Tap Bar and Grill in Denmark, Wisconsin. We host some of the top teams in the game at one of the best venues in softball. The atmosphere of old-time fast pitch with all of the amenities of a full-service bar and grill on the grounds can't be beat. Reduced rate hotels about 10 minutes from the park are available in Green Bay. To bring your team to the annual Boys of Summer tournament next July, contact Dean Kane at ct16@greenbaynet.com. Thanks to Circle Tap for their support of the broadcast program.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. Here again, and right. Safe to me. Super slow-mo there, brought to you by Sports Canada TV. Ladislav Malherzuk and Leo Latasa were having a friendly conversation as Malherzuk got up to the plate. Argentine teammates on their national team. They will be playing in Prague in the Czech Republic at the Intercontinental Cup later this month. This one, well hit. Say good night. Way back into the bleachers. Ladislav Malherzuk puts the Gremlins back on top.
Oh, that has to be so disheartening for the Circle Tap Dukes. They work so hard in the top of the inning to tie the game up. They leave the bases loaded after scoring 1 run, and then first batter of the inning here in the bottom, and it sails over the center field fence.
It's the long ball that the Gremlins are living by. You'll see it right here. Center cut, it's up. And Ladislav Malherzuk knows that one is gone right from the get-go. He gets into the home run trot right away. I think that is going to be it for Roman Godoy. Handshakes all around.
What a fantastic performance. Roman Godoy, what a week he has had. Definitely deserves the applause here from the crowd.
Well, you also saw the disappointment in the face of Roman Godoy there coming off the field. Not the way I'm sure that he had imagined this game going. This is a game that all of the players in the game want to be in. And when you think about this game, that's not the exit that Roman Godoy wanted to make. His team is still in this. He has still got an opportunity here to fulfill the dream of winning an ISC championship, but he isn't going to be the guy on the mound for it. But you still got to go back and root for your teammates.
But how much do you ask of a guy, or how much can you give? Because that big game earlier today against the Kitchener-Holman Twins, he had to pour everything he had into that game to pick up the win. And I know there's a lot of talk about pitchers that can throw multiple games in a day, but again, elite level, you've got tons of power here on the Gremlins bench, and it's the fact that the Gremlins just haven't hit them. They've hit them hard on a couple occasions.
Oh,
They're not
absolutely.
soft hits by any stretch of the imagination. And if you're a manager, you've got to give your team the best chance to win here, and you've got a fresh arm coming in Gonzalez.
You have to be heartless as a manager. This is absolutely the right move by Scott Standifer and crew. They've got plenty of experience, and they have managed in this championship game before. They have won it before with the County Materials and the Decatur Prides over the years. So that's the one benefit that the Circle Tap Duke group has on its side is the championship experience. Greg Leather's been in this game before but hasn't won it on the New York Gremlins side.
However, a number of the Gremlins players have won championships with other teams throughout the years.
Well, we talked about that coming into the broadcast. Matthew Waugh, Ben Anoka, Brian Avery with championship game experience. Andrew Kirkpatrick has won a couple of ISC championships. Jerome Remeke has gotten to, I guess, the semifinals. Zenon Winters has an ISC championship with the Farm Tavern. So there is experience on the Gremlin side. Blair Ezekiel, the only one on the Duke side with an ISC title game experience. He's got a couple of championships, 07-08 with the, or 08-09 rather, with the Kitchener River Shark Twins. So Martin Gonzalez will come on, and his job now is to keep it as close as possible. Thought he did a good job the other night coming on in relief. Winters will run up through the box and show bunt to get the defense moving around.
Coming into this game, Blair, Martin Gonzalez, 5 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, a couple of walks, 3 hits, and a 1.4 ERA. So from a work standpoint, not a lot of it through the week coming into the biggest game of the tournament.
No, a fair bit of that came on in relief the other night in the winners bracket final. This one drilled by Winners, and it's going to be caught at the fence and rolling through it. A great job out there by Zane Van Lieshout, taking away a home run from Zenon Winters. Great job on the defense there by the Dukes.
And that's a huge out for the Dukes, keeping the damage limited at this point and getting the first out of the inning.
A great play there by Van Lieshout, and that may be one of those momentum changers, Steve, where you look back and you go, wow, when that happened at the time, that really changed things for the Dukes and for the Gremlins for that matter. Brian Avery, he got the Gremlins on the board 2 innings ago with a solo shot to center.
Using me for replays, you say?
And now we've got a visitor on the field. I guess we're not going to call time for it. Maybe we'll get
now
a quick shot of the visitor on the field. Right in between second base and first on the grass, we've got a duck. There he goes. If we had a rabbit, we could do duck season, rabbit season. And he's getting a big hand out there from Daniel. And Varm Matosian. Perfect. Varm Matosian, Mr. Ned himself, in pursuit of a duck.
Well, they've got it to center field. It just doesn't want to fly over the fence. It's making its way across the diamond.
A first here in ISC World Championship play. A duck. And it's, is that a foul ball?
And
she goes indeed. Right off into the trees surrounding the main diamond here at Peter Hallman Ball Yard. A moment of levity in an otherwise tense affair between the New York Gremlins and the Circle Tap Dukes. We will all remember the duck. One ball, 2 balls, 1 strike on Brian Avery. And he fouls this one straight back to the stream. Had a big, healthy cut at that one down in the zone. Tried to go down and golf that one out of the park.
Bottom of the order here, Blair, doing the damage for the Gremlins tonight. Avery with that home run, Malarchuk with the home run, the sixth hitter. So when you're a team that can come into a championship game and get production from that bottom half, you're in good shape.
The 6 and 8 batters, the big boppers, but they're all through this Gremlins lineup. There is no break. We talked about that in some of the earlier games here, Steve, this week, that as a pitcher, you have to have such laser focus every at-bat, every pitch. You can't afford to make a mistake because every single guy in the lineup can deposit it over the fence. And this one is lifted up to center, but coming on in a hurry to make the catch is center fielder Matt Ratliff. Avery getting the bottom of that one rather than the back of it. So Nick Mullins will step in, the 9 batter for the New York Gremlins. Avery started the week catching, and this one is well hit. Deep left field at the fence and gone. Second home run of the inning, another solo job for the New York Gremlins. The bottom of the order indeed getting the job done. 8 and 9 batters now with solo home runs, and the New York Gremlins flexing their muscles for a 3-1 lead.
Well, if you're the Circle Tap Dukes right now, you're glad that there was nobody on base at the time.
We talked about staying out of these big innings being a key for the Circle Tap Dukes. Martin Gonzalez now has to regroup and focus on getting an out. Can't let this inning turn into a big rally for the Gremlins, or this game, which is still within reach for the Dukes, will get away from them.
Well, by going to Gonzalez now, which we both talked about, Blair, was probably the right call because Godoy was running out of steam very, very quickly, is where do you go after Gonzalez? And he's the guy right now, and he's got to shut things down.
He's the guy.
That's it. That's all you have for me.
He's the guy. Unless you're going to go to Blair Ezekiel, he is the guy. Tommy Thompson's on the bench, Derek Umentum and Guillermo Patat. They're not pitchers. Blair Ezekiel would likely be the guy you would have to go to if it got that far. Here's a fly ball. Ratliff will come across on the run and make the catch. They get out of it. They keep the deficit to 2, but big home runs from Ladislav Malarchuk, and Nick Mullins has the Gremlins out in front, 3-1.
We go to the top of the 5th inning for the Circle Tap Dukes. We have Tom Crouch coming up to the plate, the third baseman. And then the top of the order in Frederico Eder and Zane Van Lieshout to face Andrew Kirkpatrick, who now has a 2-run lead courtesy of the 2 solo home runs off the bats of Malarchuk and Mullins in the bottom of the 4th. One of those home runs coming off of Roman Godoy. That was the Malarchuk shot. That took Godoy out of the game and brought in Martin Gonzalez to pitch. And we can't forget either, Zenon Winters, Blair, crushed one to left field, but Van Lieshout was able to make a play on that. So some hard hit balls by the Gremlins. Chopper to short, and that will take care of Crouch for the first out of the inning. And Frederico Eder will be the batter now for Circle Tap.
Got to make something happen here soon for Circle Tap. The 5th inning. We have this saying around the broadcast booth, early is getting late, and it's starting to get late here in the 5th. These are the innings that you have to grind through as a pitcher and as a batter.
Flared to the third base side, but foul. Circle Tap has had their chances through the night tonight. In fact, they got their leadoff runner on back in the first, couldn't score. They left the bases loaded in the fourth after scoring a run. So opportunities for Circle Tap this evening, but they're down by a couple. Oh, 0-2 quickly on Eater, and he stays alive. Eater a little bit of trouble defensively tonight. Couple of one error on his part, and then a double play opportunity, couldn't turn it. Threw the ball a little too high over the first baseman's head.
Perhaps errant throws.
Errant throws, thank you.
We can't give an official error. Oh, that one is bounced in and behind him.
That hit a fingernail.
Yeah. And Kirkpatrick's going to come in. He's going to apologize to Eater. He's like, hey, man, sorry.
And that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Instead of just staying back in the pitcher's circle and staring down the batter, walking up and saying, look, that was a bad pitch.
Yeah.
These guys are professionals, and you expect the pitch to come. But, you're still working with mechanics, and sometimes you clip that hip a little too quickly, and the ball tails away on you.
The good news is that no Ducks were injured in this particular production.
1-2. Now the count on the leadoff hitter for Circle Tap, top of the order here. One away after Tom Crouch grounded out to the shortstop. Great pitch. Strike three. Had Eater fooled all the way. And for the second time tonight, he strikes out. And it's going to be Zane Van Lieshout stepping up to the plate, a strikeout victim back in the fourth. And a strikeout victim in the first. So Van Lieshout is yet to figure out Kirkpatrick. Double digits now for Kirkpatrick when it comes to strikeouts on the night. Compared to his one walk, he's allowed 3 hits. You ever get that feeling, Blair, one team just has to work so hard just to manufacture one run, and then the other team just at will can put one up on the board?
Yeah, it certainly seems that way tonight, as the Gremlins getting home runs from not unlikely sources necessarily. Maybe Nick Mullins a little bit down in the 9 spot, but he's always been, for me at least, a clutch hitter.
And you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, you take the clutch hitter over the 400 guy in
sometimes
games.
You absolutely do have to look behind the numbers, because how many of those hits came in a game where you're already up by 7? It's the clutch that really matters.
Staying alive, Van Lieshout, is that fouled out of play?
And the players know too. When the names come around or the numbers come around, they know how many of those hits came in the games where it was already well in hand, versus the home run that gets you to a tie game or puts you ahead by 1 late in an inning, late in the game.
Two-two pitch. And Van Lieshout will be rung up for the 3rd out of the inning. So 11 on the night for Kirkpatrick as he gets back to work. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning for the Gremlins with the 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up, including Kirkpatrick. And the Gremlins with a 2-run lead as Gonzalez goes back to the pitcher's circle. You're watching the 2018 ISC World Tournament from Kitchener on the ISC Network.
Peligro Sports provides the essentials needed to give your team an edge on the field. Our brand is rooted in creating a unique experience tailored to the specific needs of your team to ensure your performance is at the best level to execute plays. At Peligro Sports, we rally behind our athletes and understand their fight to take their game to a dangerous level. Visit our store at 2200 Amsterdam Avenue in New York City or see us online at peligrosportsnyc.com. Thanks to Jose and Peligro Sports for their support of the broadcast program.
Definitely a Caribbean song. I'm sad the song's finished.
Jerome Remeke will lead things off for the New York Gremlins as he did a couple of innings ago. Remeke has been aboard twice tonight, most recently on a hard-hit single. Jockeying around in the box, very similar to me as Zenon Winters, his teammate a little bit lower in the order. And just missing outside. Gonzalez is working pretty quickly, which you like to see as a defender. Of course, you can't defend the home runs.
Definitely got some help from his outfield last inning. And trying to skim that outside part of the plate, but he's run up the count now to 3-0.
Again, Gonzalez wants to keep this game as close as possible. A 2-run lead, not insurmountable for the Circle Tap Dukes, but putting runners aboard, especially leadoff walks, can be very difficult. Again, you can't defend walks either. And this puts pressure on your defense now. And especially with Ben Anoka at the plate, you have to be on your toes. You have to move so quickly. We're going to get a pinch runner here for Jerome Remeke. Looking to see who comes out of the dugout. Looks like it's Dan Loney coming out of the dugout. So he will run for Remeke here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Loney, a veteran, still runs very, very well. Very smart out on the base paths as well. He won't run into an out.
And a good call here, getting speed back on the bases, and a 3-1 lead. Definitely not enough for the Gremlins coaching staff, giving themselves an opportunity when they can to try to manufacture something.
If you can pile up some runs in a hurry, you will do it any way possible. Your job as a coach is to win the game. You're not here to worry about anybody else's feelings, not on the other team, not even on your team. You have to be ruthless and make the moves that help the team win.
So Gonzalez just threw his 5th consecutive ball here in the bottom of the inning and getting a little frustrated with the strike zone.
Well, we saw this earlier this afternoon as well with pitchers who couldn't find the strike zone suddenly find themselves with bases loaded. Big cut there by Ben Anoka. Doesn't often miss, but swinging underneath that good rise ball from Martin Gonzalez.
I think you could classify that as a home run swing.
I think he was going for one there, yes.
I thought Steve Mullally was going to dig himself into the batter's box today on some of the swings he had, ending up on one knee.
This one clips Ben Anoka on the way by, just a brush, and that is enough. And Gonzalez is going to ask if Anoka threw the arm out into it, but Lou Davis is going to have that conversation with Scott Standifer, and I think Lou's explaining right now that Benny, in his opinion, didn't do anything. We'll see it here in the replay.
So it's that back arm.
Just looked like it brushed the bottom hand.
So whether or not...
Well, that's a tough call there by Lou Davis, but he clearly felt that there was contact, and that is all that's needed in the opinion of the umpire, and that will bring up the ever dangerous Andrew Kirkpatrick with a pair aboard.
So here's the big inning situation, Blair, because you have runners on first and second with nobody out, and the top hitter of the team up at the plate, and Kirkpatrick can break it wide open right here.
We'll get another look at it here. Watch the bottom hand.
That was close.
Maybe there's a subtle change in the direction of the ball there that Lou saw.
It doesn't have to be a distinct contact. If it grazes any part of the body, the jersey, it's considered hit by pitch.
Well, Lou Davis was emphatic about it too, so we're not going to belabor it. It's done. Ben Anoka out at first base. Dan Loney at second, pinch running for Jerome Remeke. Kirkpatrick at the plate. And looks at a ball on the outside corner to even the count at 1-1. Playing deep in right field is Manuel Godoy. Ratliff is back a couple of steps from his usual spot. Van Lieshout straight up and left. And this one is skied backwards out of play.
He just missed that, Blair.
Not by a lot.
Kirkpatrick just missed that pitch. That was going to end up into the tents in right field had he got it on the square.
Well, the odds are in his favor, as they say, the young kids say these days, because the wind is now blowing out a little bit to right. It's not a stiff breeze, but just a little bit of a breeze. If you get it up, it might help. Swing and a miss, chases the rise ball up and out of the zone for strike 3. A great sequence there from Gonzalez and Latassa, getting Andrew Kirkpatrick to chase out of the zone.
Count that as a big strikeout for Gonzalez, but still not out of the woods. Ochoa walked back in the first and grounded out in the third.
And a called strike on the outside corner. So Gonzalez has slowly been finding the range on that outside drop ball. That's the go-to pitch for most of the guys here at the top of the game. And that one misses well upstairs. It's Dan Loney at second, Ben Inoka at first, 2 speedsters out there. Big power hitter at the plate in the form of Ochoa. Big cut. Comes up empty, but who on the Gremlins doesn't take a big cut?
I don't think I've seen anybody shorten up their swing tonight on the Gremlins. Of course, 3 solo home runs, so you know something's working.
Well, the author of one of those is sitting on deck, Ladislav Malor-Zook, but right now it's Eric Ochoa, who would love to run into one himself right here and extend that lead. Upstairs again. Dalton coming over to keep Dan Loney close at second base. But the infield mostly straight away. Eater maybe back a step or two on the left side. And this one is skied back left out of play. I talked to Brent Thompson of the Niagara Snappers after they played the Gremlins way back on Monday night. And for viewers who were with us, Eric Ochoa hit a ball so hard at Brent Thompson, he said it took until the end of the game for his hand to stop stinging. It was a line shot right at Brent. He caught it, but he said his hand stung for another hour. One down here in the inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that one just outside. You've got a great look at it with that center field cam shot.
Key pitch here. Do you walk the bases loaded to bring up Malor-Zook?
Well, I don't think you want to, given what he did his last trip. Swing and a miss. A great-looking rise ball again from Martin Gonzalez. His go-to pitch right now for the strikeout. He's rung up a pair in Kirkpatrick and Ochoa. And now we'll see if he can wriggle out of this jam here and try and get Ladislav Malor-Zook. Watch the movement here on this pitch. Starts just below the letters, and you see where Latassa caught it, holding it up high. So 2 on for Ladislav Malor-Zook, and that one missing just outside. these two countrymen, and will play together in another couple of weeks. But right now, here's a line shot underneath the diving glove of Eder. Here comes one in Loney. Anoka will hold up at third, sliding safely into second goes Ladislav Maller-Zuk, and an RBI double for the young man from Argentina. You'll see this one right back to the left side and underneath the diving Federico Eder. I thought maybe he was going to make a play on it, but it was just hit too hard, and the Gremlins now lead 4-1.
And a dangerous Zenon Winters coming up to the plate. He drove one deep to left field the last time he was up. Zane Van Lieshout had to make a remarkable catch to keep it in the park. But here's this big inning, Blair, that we talked about at the top of the broadcast.
We're already one run in here this inning. You've got runners on second and third. There's no prizes here. You could put Winters on, but then you've got to pitch to Brian Avery, who's already got a home run in this game. Hard ground ball off the glove, and they're not going to get anybody. Here's the throw, the plate, it's late, and sliding in comes Maller-Zuk, and that might just be enough as he got a big hug from Ben Anoka with that heads-up base running. Dalton slow to get to that ball off the glove of the pitcher Gonzalez. The throw was up the line on the first base side. You're going to see it here.
Well, you saw in that play, Blair, what happened with the way the ball was hit back to the pitcher. The second baseman, Dalton, was going to the middle of the infield to try to cut it off, but the ricochet off the pitcher's mitt. Actually, if Dalton hadn't moved, he was right there to pick it up.
Yeah, he had to change direction and go get that ball. Double pumped on the throw home at short hop Latassa, but I don't think they were going to get Maller-Zuk in any event. So some heads-up base running. We've got a pinch runner now over at first base. That is number one for the Gremlins. It's Jenner Christensen, who is the flex player who can go now and run as a replacement. As long as he's not batting, he is allowed to substitute for Zenon Winters, who is the designated player. And this one is laced by Avery out into center field. Coast to coast is Jenner Christensen. He's going to slide into third unnecessarily, and the Gremlins have got it all their way right now. Breaking this one open, it's 6-1 for the Gremlins, and here comes that big inning that we talked about right off the top, Steve.
Well, even though the second and third hitters did work their way on base, walk and a hit by pitch, it's been the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters all night, Blair, that have created the opportunities, the RBIs, the big hits, and the bottom of the order doing its job in a championship game. And now it's going to be Nick Mullins, who smacked a home run off Gonzalez the last time he faced him last inning.
2 out here in the inning. You have to stop the bleeding right here, right now. Couple of runs here, and this game is over very quickly.
Well, 2 more runs gives it a mercy, and the New York Gremlins are the home team. So it would be 7 after 5.
So those 2 runners out on base are very key for the Circle Tap Dukes. You can't let the guy on first score. Which is interesting that they're going to let Brian Avery stay out there and run. He runs fairly well, but they've got a couple of guys, Milheim and Campbell Anoka, who are a lot faster.
So hard in any tournament, Blair, when you lose one game through bracket play and you've got to take a little bit of a back door. Circle Tap, of course, having to play the game here at 1:30, which actually didn't start closer till 2. Roman Godoy, fantastic performance in that game. Got the start tonight, but...
Well, you talked about it earlier, Steve, how much that game must have taken out of Roman Godoy. On the move is Avery as ball 4 to Mullins on the full count. And bases are loaded again for Matthew Waugh. The run rule runner, if you will, Steve, is out at second base, And Matthew Waugh, very dangerous at the plate, these types of situations. He is the 9th batter this inning.
1 for 3 on the night. Couple of fly balls to second and center field, and had a single back in the lead.
Matty Waugh, one of those guys we talked about, Steve, that rises to the occasion, hits in the clutch when it's needed.
He's been hitting the ball hard all night long.
8 hits now on the board for the New York Gremlins, 6 big runs, 3 hits, the single run for the Dukes. Waugh will step out and take a breath. Again, Brian Avery, if he scores, the game will be over. He is the runner out at second base.
And nowhere to put anybody else. Bases are loaded, so a walk here, detrimental.
Waugh has a big cut. I'm a little surprised that the Dukes outfielders aren't further in, Steve. I'm not sure if anybody maybe hasn't recognized the fact that if Avery scores, the game's over.
Well, if you're putting it that deep in the ballpark where the fielders are, that run's scoring from second.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
So that's why I think you've got to bring those outfielders in and hold that runner at third base. Swing and a miss by Matthew Waugh. That will be it. We'll get out of the inning. So the Dukes dodged that particular bullet as that rise ball right past Matty Waugh. But the Gremlins break this one wide open. They lead 6-1. We will head to the top of the 6th here on the ISC network. Stay with us here. We'll be back.
If a man runs for president, interviews for a high-level job, or needs a good table at a smart restaurant, chances are he'll be wearing a suit. Mr. Ned is your custom tailor in New York City. Located at 137 Fifth Avenue, we provide our clients with the highest quality custom suits at affordable pricing. Our range of fabrics is second to none and will fit the needs of any well-dressed professional. Whether it be everyday business attire or a special occasion, we have the ability to make you a man of distinction. Visit the store at 137 Fifth Avenue in New York or see us online at mrnednyc.com. We thank Mr. Ned and Var Matosian for generously supporting the broadcast program.
Here we are to the top of the 6th inning, and 2, 3, and 4 hitters for Circle Tap due up. Or 3, 4, 5 hitters. Manuel Godoy leading it off, the right fielder, and slashes it to center field, a solid single as he continues his tear in this tournament, making his bid for top hitter of the week, and he gets on for Blair Ezekiel.
I wouldn't be surprised if Manuel Godoy had just clinched the top hitter spot right there. 2 for 3 rather in the game. So only improving. He came in batting a pretty good 6-11, so he'll be improving on that.
Here's Ezekiel, and he slashes it past the third baseman, and look at this. Circle Tap trying to respond here in the top of the 6th inning after New York scored 3 in the bottom of the 5th to take the 6-1 lead.
Sometimes when the pressure comes off, you just go out and play the game and good things happen. Right now for Circle Tap, a couple of base hits. We're going to get a pinch runner for Blair Ezekiel, it looks like, as popping out of the dugout.
I'm going to put my number 1.
Derek Umentum.
He's been used as a pinch runner through various spots of the tournament this week, the go-to guy when they need someone on the base pass. Tyler Dudley, 2 strikeouts tonight. His return after injuring his left shoulder earlier in the week. See if he can get something together here. Dudley tries to sneak out, find out what they're talking about. Nice try.
Yeah, some guys have a terrific sense of humor. Tyler Dudley is one of them. I'm sure Nick Mullins and Andrew Kirkpatrick will have a bit of a chuckle about that, or at least a smile, I hope.
Well, Kirkpatrick's had Dudley's number on the night so far.
I'm sure he would like to listen in, quite frankly.
And quickly, Kirkpatrick falls behind the batter, 2-0. So a leadoff single by Godoy. Momentum into pinch run, and Dudley's worked the count to 2-0 now, 3-0. Kirkpatrick maybe a little too relaxed after his offense spotted him a bigger lead.
Well, an opportunity here for Tyler Dudley.
And it takes 4 straight balls, and will trot down to first base on the walk. And look at this, bases loaded, nobody out with Daniel Dalton coming to the plate. A solid single in his last at bat back in the 4th.
Well, Danny Dalton's had a good tournament here this week, was batting in the 400s coming into this championship game, 1 for 2 so far. He'll be helping that average and can do himself a favor for perhaps an all-tournament nod at some point here for Danny Dalton if he comes through with a couple of RBIs. Bases loaded situation for the Dukes. They've had this before in this game. Misses downstairs from Kirkpatrick.
So Dalton with the bases loaded and a 1-0 count. Unable to go down and swat at that Kirkpatrick offering. Count even at 1. Circle Tap has gotten to Kirkpatrick at times tonight. 5 hits on the board for the visiting team. But a big spot in the game right now, top of the 6th. Slap foul, third base side. And now 1-2. We talked a lot about the Gremlins bottom half of the order doing the work tonight. See what the Circle Tap Dukes can do with their bottom of the order here. Swing and a miss, and Dalton goes down on strikes. Matt Ratliff will step up to the plate. He had a single back in the 4th, strikeout in the 2nd, so he's 1 for 2.
Well, you kind of get the feeling, Steve, this is really the Dukes' last look at it here with Ratliff and then Leo Latassa getting the bases loaded with nobody out, a rare occasion. If you can't do anything with it, you're not going to win many ball games. But the bases loaded back in the 4th, cashed 1, but that was before I think they actually had the bases loaded at that point.
Yeah, that run came in before they loaded up the bases. Looking at the Circle Tap bench, they do have Guillermo Patat, who had been working as the DP over the last couple of games. Dudley in at that spot tonight.
Patat pressed into service due to the injury to Dudley.
1-1 pitch. Chasing it was Ratliff. And he strikes out for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, I think the scoreboard did you wrong there, Steve. It was 1-2 going into that pitch. There you see the big rise ball from Andrew Kirkpatrick, well underneath it on that cut by Matt Ratliff. As tall as Matt Ratliff is, able to elevate the pitch.
And they will bring in Guillermo Patat to bat for Latassa here. 2 strikeouts on the night for the Circle Tap catcher. So with 2 outs here and the bases loaded, they'll bring in a stick off the bench to see if they can generate something. And Patat Watches that coming too far inside for ball one. Slice down the right field side, but that's going to drift foul. It looked like it was going to hug the line a little tighter, but then started to tail off quickly when it flew over first base. So the count is sitting at 1-1. And there's Patat flying to center field, but in comes the speedy Beninoka to swallow up the third out of the inning. And the bases left loaded. In fact, circle tap at the bases loaded with nobody out and unable to score a run. We'll go to the bottom of the sixth inning. You're watching the 2018 ISC World Tournament from Kitchener on the ISC Network.
Steve, just a few thank yous that I'd like to make here on behalf of the ISC Network and the broadcast team. Some of our guests that were up here this week, our new Hall of Famers, Sean O'Brien, Rob Gray, Paul Rosebush, Jim Hallman, Ferdy Nellison were able to join us over the course of the week. Greg Leather from USA Softball, Varm Matiosian, Jakub Kopriva from Czech Softball, John Stewart from Softball Canada, Bob McGowan, of course, the ISC2 founder. Pete Landers was in here as a guest earlier today, Lori Cook-Baird, and then some of the people who are joining us right here on the broadcast team, Aaron Durant, Alan Etmansky, and then you and Lance Wynn really bailed us out here this week as we were down a man. You guys stepped in. I really appreciate the job that you and Lance did here this week. Joe Todd and myself from the ISC Network, our absent friend Kyle Smith, more than pleased to bring you all of the games here this week from the 2018 World Tournament. Can't do it without our sponsors, of course, Skelton Truck Lines, Corbett Source for Sports, Jukasa Radio, Circle Tap, Lumberjack, and Exit Speed. Kelly's Pub, 3 Cheers, as Jerome Remeke, 2 balls here to open up the inning. Our ISC Canada East, Jack Fireman, Mr. Ned, Peligro Sports, all sponsors here this week. Sports Canada TV, Nick Choi, the entire production team did a great job. Phenomenal pictures here all week. Hope you've been enjoying that here at home on the ISC Fast Pitch YouTube channel, brought to you by the team on the ISC Network. Thank you, one and all, for joining us here this week. Thank you to our sponsors for enabling us to do this, and thank you to everybody for helping us bring the great game of fastball to the people around the world.
Well, whenever you have an opportunity to grow the game in whatever capability you can, opportunity is there, and it's always fantastic to work with great people and also watch some very competitive ball. Congratulations to all the teams who put their hearts on the table this week to give the fans a show here in Kitchener.
And indeed, it has been a terrific show. A new champion will be crowned this week. And a base on balls to Jerome Remeke, showing a very fine eye up at the plate. His second consecutive walk. Been on base all night long, 4 times in the game and 4 times reaching base for Jerome Remeke. Beninoka will get his 4th look. Second with Martin Gonzalez. Anoka was grazed by a pitch, came around to score an inning ago.
Well, one of the 2 keys were crossed off tonight, Blair. We talked about the big inning, trying to stay away from it from Circle Tap's perspective, unable to do so. as the Gremlins put up 3 in the bottom of the 5th.
This lifted out to center on the run. Ratliff again makes a good running catch and retires Ben Anoka.
For the Gremlins, couldn't establish dominance early in the game, and in fact, Circle Tap loaded the bases in the 4th and only had 1 run come in, and then left the bases loaded in the 6th. So they allowed Circle Tap to hang around a little bit there early in the game, but right now a 5-run lead here in the bottom of the 6th.
And with a 5-run lead, they're going to give Andrew Kirkpatrick a break and let him rest up for the 7th. Matt Palazzo, you see him right there. He will come in to pinch hit for Kirkpatrick. Palazzo looking to end it with 1 swing right there, right after that first offering from Martin Gonzalez. Palazzo battling some nagging injuries over the course of the season. Normally a mainstay in the middle of the Gremlins lineup, and a first base. And this one is over as Matt Palazzo will end it in style.
A walk-off 2-run home run in the bottom of the 6th, Blair. My goodness.
Matt Palazzo will win the ISC World Tournament for the New York Gremlins. The celebration is on. The Gremlins, world champions.
What a performance by the team this week. Key individuals, of course, Andrew Kirkpatrick, I'm sure will be called upon for some individual awards here tonight with the week he's had. Congratulations to the Circle Tap Dukes. What a performance this week. They were called upon to play the extra game here this afternoon. They buckled down to beat the Kitchener-Holman Twins on a gutsy performance by Roman Godoy. They also had some earlier success through the week, and tonight just too much from the New York Gremlins to handle as we look at the championship clinching swing.
Palazzo knew that was gone from the moment it left the bat. It travels a long way. There you see our cameraman bailing on the play. I don't know if he was looking for a souvenir, but that is one of our cameramen who, an inelegant, ungraceful attempt to get a souvenir.
And hugs all around as the teams shake hands in the infield. A great show of sportsmanship.
Steve, you may have seen the pink shoes worn by Juan Podolicio. They are for breast cancer for his mother. So we extend our best wishes to Juan and his family on that. Stay with us here on the ISC Network. We're going to take a break as we will get set up for the upcoming ISC World Tournament Awards ceremony. Stay with us. New York Gremlins, world champions.
Yeah, they're setting up for the ceremony. All right.
Event? Then stop waiting. Check out our website or social media pages to see when the next event will be near you and come be a part of the experience.
Whatever your delivery requirements are across North America, Skelton Truck Lines provides you with reliable, safe, and high-quality service at a fair price. Skelton Truck Line's equipment is satellite tracked and delivers small parcel, less than truckload, and expedited shipments throughout Canada and the U.S. With over 50 years of experience and more than 50 trucks serving 4 divisions, Skelton Truck Lines is a thriving Ontario business and a proud fastball sponsor. Visit us online at skeltontruck.com. Thanks to Mike Skelton for supporting the broadcast program.
Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM, operating from the 6 nations of the Grand River Territory, is dedicated to the promotion of Indigenous culture, positive initiatives, language, and music to our youth. We offer a unique blend of top 40, hip-hop, R&B programming, and Indigenous music. You can count on Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM to help your voice be heard. Our interactive call-in shows feature locally produced news, sports, health, current affairs, and social issues. Unique programming with an Indigenous perspective. Listen live at jukasaradio.ca or download the Jukasa Radio app free from your app store.
A legendary pitcher. Unbreakable records.
That's got a mile. Goes a mile high to the wall, to the track. Saved by baseball.
And that ball's lifted up and going back to left field. What a great grab. Off speed is deep, and you can get out of this ballpark.
5 Hall of Famers. 3 World Championships.
And that ball is driven out deep.
Hit from Parker is driven deep. Shane Boland to the fence. It's gone. Shane Boland has hit the game-winning home run.
The Toronto Gators, gone but not forgotten.
When you're in St. John's, Newfoundland, you're at home. And you're never more at home than when you're at Kelly's Pub, right on famous George Street. Traditional live music and some of the best fish and chips in the city are what you'll get at Kelly's. One of the top fastball sponsors in the country is right here in St. John's. Kelly's Pub, live music, great food, and friendly service. Right around the corner is 3 Cheers Pub, home of the 3-time Canadian national champions. 3 Cheers is downtown St. John's friendly pub. Affordable drinks and great staff with buckets all day, every day. 3 Cheers Pub is a proud fastball sponsor. Kelly's Pub and 3 Cheers Pub, come and make yourself at home.
The annual Boys of Summer tournament is held every July at Circle Tap Bar and Grill in Denmark, Wisconsin. We host some of the top teams in the game at one of the best venues in softball. The atmosphere of old-time fast pitch with all of the amenities of a full-service bar and grill on the grounds can't be beat. Reduced rate hotels about 10 minutes from the park are available in Green Bay. To bring your team to the annual Boys of Summer tournament next July, contact Dean Kane at ct16@greenbaynet.com. Thanks to Circle Tap for their support of the broadcast program.
For all your team uniform and equipment needs, fastball, slow pitch, and hockey, for players and teams, make sure you visit Corbett's Source for Sports on the South Service Road in Oakville, Ontario. There's a lot of deals to be had on all kinds of equipment. Thank you to Paul Hurd and Corbett's Source for Sports for their generous sponsorship of the broadcast program.
There they are, the 2018 ISC World Tournament champions. First time for the New York Gremlins. You're getting a look at Nick McCurry and Bob Nidick, I believe that is, celebrating their first ISC World Championship. Joe Todd joining me in the booth here. And Joe Todd, Matt Palazzo had one thing on his mind going up there in the bottom of the 6th inning with a runner aboard to end the game, and he absolutely did it with a no-doubt home run to center field.
That was a rocket that exited the park really quick.
So, Joe, we've got our colleague Steve Sabrin is down now at field level, and he is going to be our master of ceremonies for the ISC Awards, and we will hand out the trophies to the teams and the individuals for the 2018 ISC World Tournament. It's been quite the week here, Joe Todd. We started last Saturday night with some games, on Sunday with the Hall of Fame ceremony and some broadcasts. And the week goes quickly at times. Sometimes it flies by, even though in the moment it seems like we've been here forever.
I can't believe Game 70 in the books.
There's the chairman of the World Tournament Committee, Craig Donaldson from British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia. He will present the second place trophy to Dean Kane on your left and Scott Standifer on your right, the coaching staff for the Circle Tap Dukes. They will be the host team next year as we go to Denmark, Wisconsin. And this is the trophy, really, Joe, that nobody wants to take home with them, the runner-up trophy. But Circle Tap Dukes, their best finish here in an ISC World Tournament with a second. Previously, they had been third in 2005 and fourth in 04.
Circle Tap not that far away. A couple key pieces here and there, and they will be ready for next year.
I think, Joe, if they had somehow managed to get through that winner's bracket game with the New York Gremlins, this might have been a different game. But having to play the extra game today, getting here by having to go through the Kitchener-Holman Twins just took too much out of Ramon Godoy.
Makes a lot longer road. That path just seems that much longer.
A lot of guys here on this Circle Tap Dukes team, I think, are going to be in line for some individual awards as well. They've had a great week. Don't take anything away from this team, Joe. As you absolutely said, they were certainly deserving to be here in this game. They earned every minute of it. Didn't end the way they wanted it to. But this has been a great week for the Dukes organization, and next year it's going to be a terrific year for Circle Tap.
They will come back that much hungrier next year. Get that little taste in their mouth.
Ramon Godoy getting called up to receive his finalist or runner-up plaque. Kind of like winning the silver medal, Joe, at the Olympics. It's a little bitter at the time. Coaching staff getting called up again. Scott Standifer, Dean Kane, Kevin Schumacher. Kitchener-Holman Twins getting called up to receive the third place trophy. And it looks like, to me, that's Ron Hackett coming out, as well as Jim Hallman. Of course, Jim Hallman going into the Hall of Fame earlier this week, the recipient of the Bob Welby Memorial Award, which goes to those who put in their time, toil, and effort and treasure in support of the ISC broader organization and teams. And Jim Hallman, just a terrific sponsor, and helped to finance this tournament up front, and a very, very deserving member now of the ISC Hall of Fame.
Done a great job for a long time here in Kitchener-Waterloo, and hopefully he will continue.
So who will come to get the Carol Forbes Memorial Trophy? It is Greg Leather and Varm Matiosian, the two longest standing members of this New York Gremlins team. big smiles all around, even from Greg Leather there. It looks like Varm Matatosian looks like the cat who ate the canary.
Well, Varm batted 1,000, so.
He did. He batted 1,000 with 2 RBIs in this tournament. He'll be looking to be the leading hitter as Matty Waugh gets called out to receive his individual award. And, Joe, this team just seemed to be on a mission here this week. They were unstoppable, relentless in their pursuit of this ISC World Tournament title. It seemed like they were built to beat the Gremlins, but in the end, they were able to beat everybody.
They were just on a roll. On every game, they got that much better. They were very strong coming into this weekend.
Zenon Winters, I got to think, is in line for another all-world player here this week. Brian Avery, a big home run to lead things off to get the Gremlins on board. Nick Mullins also had a home run in this game. Jenner Christensen was aboard for one of those home runs. A couple of good plays on defense from Jenner. And, of course, the guy who ended it right there, Matt Palazzo, is the reason why we're doing the awards ceremony now and not the 7th inning.
Andrew Kirkpatrick, very glad he pinched hit for him.
Campbell Anoka wins his first ISC World title. Joe, you look at that Gremlins lineup, and there's a few guys there who have got ISC titles. Ben Anoka has won a couple. Andrew Kirkpatrick a couple as well. Zenon Winters with the farm. But for a lot of these guys, this is the first ISC World Championship, and well-deserved. They've been in pursuit of this for a long time. Andrew Kirkpatrick gets a huge round of applause, and I think that's not the only time he's going to get called up here in this closing ceremony. Matt Ratliff, Circle Tap Dukes, is the first member called for the ISC second team All-World. Bobby Gillow from the Kitchener-Hallman Cubs had a great week for the Cubs. Hit the ball well all week.
Just had his birthday last week, celebrating his birthday.
Yusuf Davis from the J&B Bombers. Shane Boland from Hill United. Colin Walsh gets a call from the Kitchener-Hallman Cubs, another good young player from Newfoundland.
Colin really hit the ball well all week.
And from the Czech Republic, Miklas Klaas from the Bear Bottom Lodge.
Jakub Kopriva out to accept the award.
Pete Rodriguez from Bear Bottom Lodge gets the call. Tyler Pauli was also named there to the second All-World team. Joe Tutty was the leading hitter a year ago, and as a young man, already making an All-World team. Ryan Merriman and Brendan Rutt from the Bear Bottom Lodge squad. Thought I heard Chris Walushka called as well from the J&B Bombers. Michael Hollobraddock, Huemo Mata from the Cubs, and Tyler Randerson from the Nith River Monsters are the second team All-World pitchers. Jeff Ellsworth, the Hill United DP, is the designated player. Brad Ezekiel from the Hill United Chiefs. Manuel Godoy from Circle Tap. Matthew Waugh from the New York Gremlins.
Great camaraderie out there on the field right now as the other members of the team are congratulating each other.
Derek Mason, Jerome Remeke from the champion Gremlins. Ian Fairman, who had a great week here for the Kitchener-Hallman Twins. Blair Ezekiel from the Dukes. Daniel Dalton makes his first All-World team.
Got a lot of clutch hits this week.
Ryan Boland from the Hallman Twins. Nick Mullins makes it from the Gremlins. Brian Avery was called amongst the outfielders. So 2 catchers, 2 infielders. Zenon Winters from the Gremlins. The pitchers, Sean Cleary from the Hallman Twins. Sean, I think, finished 5-1. Ramon Godoy, no surprise there, had a great tournament. And Andrew Kirkpatrick, again, to the surprise of nobody, Andrew Kirkpatrick, 5-0. Max Montero picking up the other win for the New York Gremlins. Take the photo with the Dukes and the Gremlins, the guys that were in the championship game. Rio Grande Senators, Joe, were the best dressed team. They had the flashy red and blue combination, red, white, and blue, I guess, from Rio Grande in Austin, Texas.
Their first time here. Hopefully they will come back to visit us in Denmark.
The newcomer of the year, named after Kevin Herlihy, the great New Zealand pitcher, Michael Holobrotic from the Bear Bottom Lodge. And Joe, to me, that was a no-brainer. He had a great tournament. Bradley Ezekiel, the most RBIs with 14. Seemed like he got them all in one game. Actually, that was only half the total, and he ended up with 14 in chase of the record. The leading hitter, Manuel Godoy, well into the 600s, had a great tournament again. Elmira Expos were named the Frank Porth Team Sportsman Award winners. A great choice there. Andrew Kirkpatrick named the Leroy Zimmerman Most Outstanding Pitcher. Andrew last won this award in 2006, and 12 years later wins it again. Our MVP, Brian Avery. Brian played multiple positions this week. He caught, he played right field, hit some home runs. He made a terrific grab running through the fence the other night. So the New York Gremlins sweep the MVP and the top pitcher, to nobody's surprise. They swept through the tournament. And as we wrap things up here from Kitchener, Joe Todd, it is all about New York, New York.